Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Morning Sunsets podcast. I am joined by a wonderful guest today, and I shall pass you over to him to give himself a proper introduction. Take it away, Ali.
Cool. Hi guys, my name is Ali. I'm 25 years of age. I was born with cerebral palsy, and I'm a para athlete who does Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and weightlifting. And yeah, that's usually the way I've described myself, pretty much. So yeah.
That's a lot better than most people. When I ask them, they just go, I don't know, I'm me. And I'm like, oh, maybe give me more information. But that was perfect. Thank you. So you mentioned your martial arts and weightlifting. It's obviously a massive part of your life, and I'm not the most sporty person myself. I don't exactly have muscles, but I am very impressed by the dedication and the motivation that you have and you've put in, and I would love to hear more about sort of your journey and how you got into martial arts, really.
Cool. Well, I mean, it kind of started when I was like really young, I'd say. And it's funny because it was a complete accident. So when I was a kid, I remember we went to this shopping center with my mom, and we went into. I was like 6 or 7 at the time, and this memory kind of it's a very vivid memory. I was 6 or 7 at the time, and we went into a game store, and I noticed that like I was looking around, and I saw Dragon Ball Z Budokai, one of the games, and I didn't know what Dragon Ball Z was at the time, but because like I was into like fighting and martial arts and stuff like that, I told my mom, "Oh, can you get me this game?" Because the cover of it was like Goku with his like bow staff.
Yeah.
So obviously I knew it was something to do with like fighting or something. I told my mom like, "Oh, can you get me this?" And she was like, "Yeah." And that game is basically what really kind of fostered my love of not only martial arts but like Dragon Ball Z and like everything kind of
I love that.
Japan and like Japanese culture and stuff like that. So ever since I played that game and the Tekken games as well, that I used to play with my dad when I was younger, like those are the two that really kind of they kind of forged my character really, because I think without those two, I could safely say that I wouldn't be the person I am now. And then yeah, and then but funnily enough, like my my real martial arts journey when it comes to jiu-jitsu didn't start until like last year. I started jiu-jitsu in May of last year.
Okay.
And I started my fitness journey in 2019. But previous to that, I'd also been doing Wing Chun for 7 years, which is a Chinese martial art.
Okay.
From about, I'd say 2012 to 2019. But yeah, I've always been into kind of martial arts and combat sports and stuff like that, and it was all fostered from that kind of stroll into the game store when I was a kid.
I love that it's a game that really got you set down that path. Like that's just such a cool story. And definitely not what I was expecting. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bit of a mad one. Like when you think about it. But yeah, like if I hadn't ran across that game, like, cause as I said, I didn't know what Dragon Ball Z was at the time. I just bought it because of the picture, like not even because of the name. It's because I knew that it was something to do with martial arts, and like that's kind of forged a massive part of my character now.
Oh,
So
that's
like
I love
yeah.
that. So, how did you go from, I guess, admiring the martial arts to actually starting to get into it yourself? Because I know from my experience of trying to get into things, if you have a disability, a lot of doors get shut in your face. So, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I think um like, and it's funny because I've been on quite a few podcasts, and everyone's kind of said the same thing. Like when you have a disability, like it's kind of hard, and like people say no and all this. And like, don't get me wrong, I had that in the past, like when I wanted to try karate or whatever, like, and stuff like that. But I mean, thinking back, anyway, karate wasn't the most practical sport for someone like me to do, because it's not like I can kick, so I'd be kind of useless in that
You'd be a
regard.
bit
But
disadvantaged there, wouldn't
yeah, yeah.
you?
But when it comes to jujitsu, which is like now the main martial art that I'm doing, I was very very lucky because I never had any obstacles. Um, to be honest, and like I always have to big up my coach, or my professor, as we have to call them, because if they're black belts, you have to call them professors. Um,
Very
so
official.
like my professor, like I really look up to him as an old
Oh,
brother, as
sorry,
well as a
my
friend.
my internet went very weird then. Yeah, you're moving. This is good.
Cool,
Um, so yeah, what
wicked.
what
Um,
what is training like? What do you do for training? Again, I am not a sporty person. Like I have no idea what the heck people do.
so I train 6 times a week. Uh, I do 3 weight training sessions a week and 3 jiu-jitsu sessions. So it's quite rigorous.
That is a lot of wow. Like I don't think I do anything 6 days a week except like eat.
Uh, what I would say is that like obviously certain things have to be adapted. Like when it comes to like weight training and stuff, you just have to think creatively.
Mm.
Uh, Um, but the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu is that um,
Zoom is being a
you can
pain in
make
the
it work
butt. Hang on.
to your advantage.
It won't let me do anything to him. I was trying to kick him out and make him come back in. No, it's not. Okay, he kicked himself. This is a safe space. Thank you, Nightbot. This is probably a good time to say that. This is a safe space. Please respect everyone. Speak from a place of kindness in chat. Any offensive and judgmental behavior will result in an immediate ban. If at any point you feel uncomfortable, please use the safe word, exclamation mark safe word, or exclamation mark Leafeon to let me know. You are alive. You are back.
I am, mate. Everything's playing up today. I don't know what's going on.
That's technology for you. Where were we? Oh, yes. I asked if there were any differences to you training compared to non-disabled humans.
I think there are, but I think especially with jiu-jitsu, you just kind of you build your jiu-jitsu around your strengths, um, and that's all there is to it. But I think with jiu-jitsu, everyone's journey is different. Whether
Mm.
you're disabled or you're able-bodied or whatever, like everyone has things that they're good at and things that they're not so good at, and then they mold their game, like, and their whole kind of the way they fight and stuff around that. So for me, like, it's no different in that sense, I suppose, in that my jiu-jitsu game is based around like my strengths, which is basically the same as everybody else,
Yeah.
and that's what I love about the sport, is that you're kind of not put on a level playing field, but you're kind of on the same journey as everybody else. I
Mm.
don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah, yeah, no,
but
it
um
does.
but yeah, like, yeah.
No, I really like the sound of that, of how everyone is just kind of working to their own abilities, and I think that's a great thing that I guess should happen more in society in general, you know, rather than it being you only do different things if you are clearly in need. You know what I mean? Rather than just everyone doing what their strengths are. I think that's great.
Yeah, sometimes Zoom is a real pain. I know.
I mean, if it works with your camera off, we can go camera off. We can just have your name nice and big, and I can put a little picture of you.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I mean,
Yeah,
we
that
haven't had much luck so far, so
no, that's fine. We'll just carry on like this. Adapt and improve. um, let's see, where were we? Oh, all this technical stuff. Um, ah, the Superhuman label that I guess Channel 4 kind of really pushed at the last Paralympics. Um, that can kind of be a bit problematic for disabled people because it implies that you're only, I guess, a good disabled person if you're good at sports. And I just wondered what that's like from the perspective of someone who is sporty. Like, do you come across being called a superhuman and stuff like that?
yeah, I do. Like, people have called me an inspiration, and, like, like, yeah. Like, here's the thing for me, right?
Hmm.
I always say this to people as well. I if you want to call me an inspiration, that's fine. But what have I inspired you to do exactly?
Yeah.
And if they can give me an answer, like, then I know that they're kind of thinking about or calling me an inspiration for kind of like the right reasons, in inverted commas.
Mm.
But if they can't give me an answer, or they just say, oh, like, it's because you're disabled,
Yeah.
then I'll just tell them, well, like, what you're doing is not right.
You've inspired me to not be disabled.
Yeah, but also, my thing with the whole inspiration thing is, call me an inspiration for doing something inspirational. Don't call me an inspiration for doing normal things.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what I want to be called an inspiration for. Like, don't call me an inspiration because you see me go into the shops or something.
Unless it's a
Like,
very impressive shot. I mean, you never know.
yeah, unless I'm going to, like, I don't know, Marc Jacobs or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, but yeah, like, if you want to call me an inspiration because I've done something amazing, like, that's fine.
Yeah, go for it.
But otherwise, yeah, just the thing is, context is important, and that's what people need to realize.
Mm,
Like, because you need to realize in certain contexts, kind of what these words mean and how they can come across. And as long
yeah.
as you do that, then like it's fine. Um,
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. I mean,
yeah.
do you find it impacts how you see yourself when people tell you, "Oh, you're an inspiration for just, I don't know, getting out of bed." Like, does that make you feel differently about yourself at all? Or
Uh, do you know what? When I was younger, yeah,
mm,
um, it really used to piss me off. Um, I, I used to get very, very angry. Uh, like very angry. But now I kind of just see it as, and even though, like, don't get me wrong, it's tiring at times, and I still do get tired, and like there are days where I do get tired of my disability, and I think that's okay. Like
yeah,
that's fine. Um, and I think it's something that we need to talk about more often because a lot of people probably think the same way, but they just don't come out with it because they it might come across as if you're being bitter or
yeah,
whatever, but that's not the case. Like some days you do get tired. Like there are some days where I wish I wasn't disabled.
yeah,
Like that's just the reality. But the thing is, like nowadays, I don't usually take stock in what people say when it comes to the whole like inspiration thing because I've realized that it comes from a lack of awareness. So I just kind of use it as an opportunity to educate. Obviously, it depends on the setting. So if it's like in a club or something, then I don't care because you can't do much, and
yeah.
and people are drunk out of their heads.
Yeah,
So
I
trying
mean,
to
I
yeah
usually use it as an excuse to get someone to buy me a drink. I'm like, oh, am I really that inspirational? Wow, can you get me a drink?
to be fair, that's not a bad way to go. So
It works.
yeah, but yeah, it depends on the setting, and but other than that, no, I don't really take stock in what people. But I always tell people, look, I do what I'm doing because I love what I'm doing.
Mm,
Like, and that's what it boils down to. I love training. I love going to jujitsu. Like, if I don't train, I feel grumpy. Like that's the type of person I am. Like I love it. I love what I'm doing. And if I inspire people along the way for the right reasons, then so be it. But I haven't set out to do what I'm doing because I want to inspire others.
mm,
I've set out to do what I'm doing because I love what I'm doing. But
yeah,
if as a consequence people get inspired, like that's fine. That's
yeah.
okay.
No, that's great. You inspire people to follow their passions. That's amazing. And I guess there is often that kind of pressure for disabled people through society to like overcome their disability and push through it, which, isn't the best mindset to have because it kind of pushes that ableist mindset of disabled is lesser. So, how, how would you encourage young disabled people to strive for their best and follow their passions, but without doing it in a way that they feel they have to be better? I know that's a very big question, so it's cool if you don't have an answer.
I think in terms of like what I'd say to young people is whatever you're doing, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Because and I'll explain it in this way, right? And this applies to able-bodied people, disabled people, whoever. It applies to everyone, yeah. In in today's society, I think there's a lot of pressure. I think there's a lot of pressure on people to do things for the sake of other people. And what I mean by this is, like, if you look at when you go to university, for example, and get a degree or whatever, a lot of the time, if you ask young people, or like, why are you going to university and getting a degree? I guarantee you, a lot of people will say, not all of them, but a lot of people will say, oh, it's because my parents like want me to get a degree and go and get a good job or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're basically doing that. You might be doing that for yourself, but you're also doing that to please your parents, kind of thing. But what we should be doing is doing things to please ourselves, and then basically, like, if you do that and really pursue your passion and something that like you want to pursue for yourself because you enjoy it, everything positive will come as a consequence of that anyway. So the people around you that you want to please, they'll see the results of what you're doing, and they'll be happy anyway.
Yeah. No, that
Like,
is very true.
so yeah, that's the way I see it. Like, don't get me wrong. At first, you might get people telling you, "Oh no, like why are you doing this? Like, why are you doing that?" But once you stick to it and you start getting results out of it, then people will be like, "Okay, like I can see the progress. I can see what you're doing." So it's about kind of making sure you're doing things for the right reasons, because you enjoy it, because you're passionate about it, and because you want to do it, rather than you feel under pressure from like external sources or society that, oh, I have to do this by this time, or I have to do this to please this person. So it just depends on your why. If I always say, if you know your why, your how is easy. So find your purpose, find out why you're doing what you're doing, and if you know that, you can always build from there.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much, and it's so true. Um, yeah, I guess as we were speaking about sort of life experiences as a disabled person, what was it like sort of growing up with a disability? Because I know for me personally, I found it quite ostracizing at times. And I would sort of avoid being associated with the word disabled because I was so paranoid that, oh no, I'm going to get marked as another now. But I know not everyone had that experience. So what was yours?
I think growing up for me was quite hard. I'm not gonna lie. Um, like, uh, yeah, it was quite hard in terms of like I wasn't the person I am now. Like
Same.
I was quite lazy, like when it came to my exercises and stuff, which you wouldn't think now, because now I'm just like, I'm a maniac when it comes to training now. But like, I think when I was younger, like I had this one physiotherapist who basically every time I'd tell her, like, she'd say, "Oh, what are your goals?" And I'd say, "Oh, I want to be able to walk and stuff. I want to be like independent." She'd always tell me like, "Oh, I'm being too unrealistic."
Oh, I don't like that.
And I need to, I need to kind of rethink my goals and stuff. And I think as a child, like, that really affected me, because
Yeah.
like my excuse for getting out of my exercises and stuff was like, "Oh, what's the point? Like, I'm not gonna get anywhere. Like, what's the point?" And blah blah blah. And even like when I was in primary school, I used to get really badly bullied as well. Like, and it was funny because most of the people that bullied me were girls. In fact, all of them.
That doesn't surprise me. Girls are the worst sometimes.
Which is why, and you know this as well, because from our first interaction a few years ago, this affected the way that I saw my relationship with girls for years. Like
Yeah.
my confidence was through the floor when it came to girls. One, because I was bullied by them, and two, like because of the way I thought that they saw me.
Mm-hmm.
And like in my kind of early to early to mid or even late, as in like 18, 19 teenage years, I was quite suicidal and stuff.
Mm.
But like now, obviously, quite a lot of times passed, so I feel confident and comfortable enough to talk about it now. But
And that's amazing. Like, well
um,
done you for working on yourself and getting yourself out of that negative headspace, I guess, because it's not an easy thing to do.
yeah. But I always say to people, like, I'm very open about it because I want to kind of let people know that it's okay to talk about these things. Like, it's
Mm.
fine. But yeah, it was hard for me. Like, especially when I was at that age, and like you've got hormones going all over the place, and then like
Yeah, they do
g-
not help things, do they?
like girls coming into the picture, and like I saw a few of my mates like being kind of successful with girls and stuff, and like um and yeah, I think, do you know what a lot of it boiled down to? I tried to kind of run away from my disability. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't happy with myself. I didn't like myself. I didn't like the fact that I was born this way. Like my attitude was always like, oh, why me? Or why did I have to be born this way?
Mm.
Um, and yeah, I think as soon as I started like working with my disability, like that's when it all changed.
Yeah.
Instead
It
of
it can be
like,
quite a
yeah,
hard shift to make in your brain because the world tells you that it's a shame you're disabled. Like, strangers will come up to you and tell you it's a shame you're disabled. So
yeah,
when you grow up with that, it can be really hard to shake that idea of, actually, I can be proud of who I am and work with who I am.
yeah, exactly. But and now I just look at it as and I always tell people this. I'm like, look, these are the cards I've been dealt. Like that's just the reality of it. Like this is how I was born. I've had to deal with this. I can either sit and moan, or I can make the most out of it. Um, and ever since I had that shift in mindset, yeah, it's really helped me out a lot.
No, that's really good. Do you have any advice for young disabled people currently going through that sort of period of working out who they are compared to who society is telling them they are?
I'll just say, look, like it takes time. Like give yourself time because it takes time. Um, it doesn't come quickly, but the number one piece of advice I'd give is that learn to work with your circumstances rather than trying to distance yourself
Mm.
from them. Because the moment you start learning to work with your circumstances and trying to improve yourself within that, that's when you start building confidence. And with confidence, everything comes a lot more easily. Um,
It certainly does.
so yeah, that's one thing I would say. And like the other thing I would say is that kind of because it's funny because people always ask me about motivation, right? When it comes to working out, and I'm gonna relate this to what you said in terms of like, you know, advice for people who are going through a tough time. And I always say this about motivation as well. Motivation comes through action. So if you take action or do something that you like or whatever, and you see progress, you then create motivation, because the progress motivates you to carry on. So in terms of like kind of being at one with who you are and stuff, I'd say kind of take action in terms of find something that you enjoy doing, or like try and kind of better yourself, in the sense that like do something, like whether it be writing down goals every day, or I don't know, finding a hobby that you like just find something that will give you a purpose and a routine and stuff, because once you do that, and you start seeing progress within that, like it will give you confidence, which will then kind of you'll see it manifest itself in like other areas. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, definitely.
With jiu-jitsu, for example, when I started jiu-jitsu, like my confidence has gone up even more. And again, I have to thank my coaches and like all the people that work with me at our academy for that, because like their belief in me is unreal. And they're always pushing me, and like, don't get me wrong, it's my professor, like he can be very tough on me at times. Like he doesn't take it easy on me just because I'm disabled. And
but that's
like
good. I love that.
And sometimes like he can be quite harsh, but at the end of the day, I know that it's because he has my best interest at heart. But the thing is, like, because I've improved, like my confidence has gone up, and because my confidence has gone up in jiu-jitsu, that's kind of transferred itself to other areas, so I'm more confident in general.
Oh,
so
that's really good.
Yeah,
because...
go
go on. No, you go for it.
I'd say that if you're going through a tough time, one, learn to work with your circumstances rather than against them. Like, learn to be comfortable in your own skin, which does take time. But then along with that's just not going to happen on its own. Like, find stuff that you enjoy doing, find a hobby, find I don't know, whatever, something that you can progress in, something that's kind of like not, when I'm saying hobby, I'm not saying like watching a TV show or whatever. I mean, obviously that's great, do that, but find something that you can see progression in. Do you know what I mean? Because once you find out whatever it is, whether it be drawing or going to the gym, or I don't know, like writing songs, or whatever it might be, as long as you find something
to give you that feedback and build your confidence in yourself.
Yeah. And something to give you feedback and motivation, and also something to help you find your purpose. Because again, like what I said earlier, if you know your why, your how is easy. So if you don't know your why, it's hard.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, you are so much more confident in yourself than when we first met. Like, that you're such a different person in such a short amount of time. Because it wasn't that long ago. It was probably, what, 2019? Something like that? It wasn't that long ago.
I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest, when I first messaged you on Messenger, but it was Because I think you put a dating post on the MCM group or something.
Yeah, I put a post on the Comic-Con dating group being like, hi.
And then I messaged you and I was like, look, I suck with girls and that help. But yeah, I mean, look, to be honest with you, like my dating life is still pretty shit. Like I'll admit that.
So was mine until I met Theo. Like, don't worry about it.
But the thing is, I don't. It doesn't affect me as much because I decided a while ago that I'm just gonna work on myself and do what I enjoy doing. And then, like, don't get me wrong, if the opportunity comes along, or if I see a girl that I like or whatever, I'll like go up and talk to them. But I don't take too much stock in it in terms of like, if it doesn't work out,
yeah.
So what? That doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. Would you say you've kind of gotten over, probably isn't the right word, but sort of worked on your, I guess, past trauma of being bullied by girls at school? Or do you still have that deep down, like... Because I know my past trauma from bullies has not gone anywhere.
I think... Look, sometimes it does, like, resurface. I'm not gonna lie. But when it comes to girls, yeah, the one thing I'd say is that, like... And the one thing that I do now is if I'm in a situation where I want to talk to a girl or approach a girl, I'll just literally count down in my head. I'll say 3, 2, 1, and then I'll do something. Because and the reason why I say that is because if you give yourself too much time to think, you'll overthink it.
Yeah.
But if you take a deep breath and you say 3, 2, 1, and you say, right, as soon as I say 1, I'm just gonna go over there. You don't give yourself time to overthink, and you just go there. And
I fully agree with that.
The worst thing that will happen is that she says no, or it's a bit awkward, but that's okay.
Like, that strategy is actually how I went to Theo's house for the first time. Was because inside I was like proper overthinking it, like, oh god, this is gonna be awful, you know, it's gonna be awkward, he's gonna look at me and think I'm a weirdo. And then I just kind of went, yeah, we're just gonna do it. And then I just stopped and did it.
Yeah.
And it was horribly awkward. It was awful, but in the best way.
When I found out you were with Theo, I was like, no way. Like,
yeah, it was funny because one day me and Theo were just like sat on the couch watching TV, and he was like, how do you know Ali? Like, accusing me. And I'm like, what? Facebook? Why? Am I not allowed to know people you know? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it was like, because when I saw you, I was like, is that the same melody? Like, what's going on? And then I checked, I was like, okay.
Yeah, small world, eh?
I know.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
Yeah, man. You know what? You just need to tell him, like, you need to be better at responding to messages, innit?
Yes, Theo. He's awful at responding to messages, though, man. Like I don't think he even knows how to read at this point.
Do you know how many times he's like messaged me saying, "Oh, like, you need to come and hang out at my flat. I've got a lift and everything."
Oh my god! Does he just use that on all disabled people? Does he just wander around going, "I have a lift"?
And then I've said to him, "Yeah, like, cool, I'm down." And then he's never got back to it. That's happened about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. He's really shit at communicating.
Nah, I like Theo though. I like him.
He's alright.
I've like, but it's lucky that he liked me, because when we went to school, yeah, if he didn't like someone, you'd know, innit?
That is very true.
And like, if he didn't like someone, you'd know straight away. But if he liked you, like, he was cool, and me and him got on quite well, so I had no issues with him.
How you put up with him, I do not know, because I know what a pain in the ass he is now, and I've heard from his mother he used to be more of a pain in the ass.
Oh, do you want me to tell you a story, right?
Okay.
One day, this guy came into school one day,
Yeah.
with his eyebrows shaved off.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I remember he came into school, right? And I just turned to him and I was like, Theo, bro, what the fuck have you done, bro? Like, what?
That so doesn't surprise me.
And everyone was staring at him, and he's like, oh, I don't know. I just felt like shaving it off. It's like, what?
I mean, fair play.
Mate.
How does he always end up taking over fucking conversations, even when he's not here?
Mate, special powers, man.
He is very talented with that, clearly.
Yeah, no, he is.
Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. You mentioned earlier about your physio saying that, you know, your goals are too high and they're not achievable. Did you have any other, I guess, medical professionals impact how you saw yourself? Because I know for me, I had a few that just made me feel absolutely crap about myself, just because of the way they were like, no, you can't do that, or da-da-da. And I was wondering if you also experienced that.
I think to be fair, that was the only one really. Everyone else was like quite positive, and like the way I am now, I've defied like everybody's expectations. And the reason I say that is because as an adult with cerebral palsy, it's not very common for you to like decrease the severity of your condition. But with me, like, so there's a thing called the GMFCS scale when it comes to CP, which is basically a scale that you're put in a severity level based on like the motor tasks that you can complete.
Okay.
And when I was originally diagnosed, I was actually diagnosed with as a level 4, which is the second most severe level. And basically, after my first year in university, I took a gap year and went to Iran, which is where my parents are from, for a year of like intensive physio and rehab. And when I came back from that year, and with the stuff that I'm doing now, I'm actually a level 3. So I've managed to decrease my severity level by 1 on the scale.
That's really cool.
So the doctors actually told me that I'd be wheelchair bound all my life. I'd be completely reliant on the wheelchair. Now, like, I can use a frame to get around indoors. I can use crutches now. So I'm not completely reliant on my chair like they said. And when doctors see the scale at which I've improved, or they hear about it, they're shocked, and they're like, they'll say something like, "Wow, like it's a miracle," or whatever. And I'm like, "No, I've busted my butt to get to this point.
Yeah, you worked hard.
Like, there's nothing miraculous about it. It's just hard work."
Yeah, it is. I guess that's why I have a problem with, I guess, disabilities being put into a severity category. Obviously, they need to for serious medical things. You know, like, I don't know, if you're really high risk of having a heart attack, that's important for the doctors to note down. But when it comes to, like you with cerebral palsy, being put into that category 4, a lot of people could then go, oh, well, that's my life, because you've been put in that box.
Yeah.
So it kind of restricts people to be what they're told they are.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, that's come to the end of any of the big questions I had. Is there anything specifically you would like to share to the lovely humans listening?
Not particularly. I'd just like to say, like, thank you for having me on. It's been nice talking to you, to be honest, because we've kind of known each other for a while, in inverted commas, but not really. So
yeah, we've not actually spoken like verbally.
Yeah. So it's been really nice, and I always love like hopping onto these things, and you know, because I'm quite a positive person nowadays, and like people tend to think that I speak really well and give really good advice. So if I can, because for me, like, one of the reasons I started my fitness page and stuff as well is to give back to the next generation. Like that's really important to me, to give children like me an example to look up to that I didn't have when I was younger. So if I can put myself out there, put my positivity out there, and help people and stuff, like that's really rewarding for me, man. So
yeah, I mean, it's the same with my streaming and just social media stuff in general. I want to be the disabled human to look up to that I never had, basically.
Yeah. That's what it's all about, man. Making it easier, paving the way for others. That's what I want to do within jiu-jitsu as well. I want to make the sport more inclusive. I'm going to be competing in both para and able-bodied competitions, hopefully.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll see what the future holds, but I'm looking to do big things in the sport.
Where can people find you on social media to keep up with all this fun stuff?
So my Instagram handle, you can find me on Instagram, is at DeathGripBJJ.
Oh, well, like I say, thank you for chatting with me and hanging out, and I hope to maybe actually meet up with you at some point. Maybe in Theo's wonderfully accessible place.
Yeah, with don't forget the lift.
Can't forget the lift.
That's like his big flex.
It is.
Oh, I got a lift.
Yeah. Although it is broken at the moment, and I'm going over there in a minute, so he's gonna have to carry me up the stairs, which is quite funny.
Yeah, our lift is broken in our flat as well, but luckily, luckily I can actually go up and down stairs if there's two handrails. But yeah, there are people in our flat that are stuck. There's a girl that hasn't gone to school for like 5 weeks now.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's a bit mad.
Oh, life.
Yeah.
But anyway, I will let you go because I'm sure you are very tired after everything you have done today.
Nah, it's been a pleasure, man. No problem at all.
Yeah, I will speak to you later.
See you later.
Bye. Thank you, everyone, for watching or listening to this podcast. I will be back again next month with another Morning Sunsets podcast. The guest has not been decided yet, so if you are interested, feel free to send me a little message and we could get you on here. Thank you very much again, and I will see you all next time.